7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Coming soon. Snake River Manufacturing is developing a revolutionary new way to design and build a custom kayak trailer. This modular design lets you customize your trailer one piece at a time, allowing you to grow as you go.
Looking for unbeatable customer service and a kayak shop that truly cares? At No Bad Days Kayak, Forrest and his team treat every customer like family. With unmatched attention to detail, they'll even ship your dream kayak anywhere in the U.S. No stress, no hassle, no bad days. Hello, everyone. This episode is also brought to you by Vibe Kayaks. Whether you're chasing the perfect catch or just craving some peace on the water, Vibe Kayaks is your ride to freedom. Built for all skill levels and any water, fresh or salty, or somewhere in between, Vibe delivers premium kayak performance without the drama or cost. From the ultra versatile Shearwater 125 to the throw and go agility of the Makana 100 to the ultra portable inflatables, every Vibe kayak is crafted to elevate your experience on the water. So gear up, get out there, and do what you do. All right. As we said, Snake River Manufacturing is sponsoring this episode, as well as every episode for this year. So if you get a chance, go to snakerivermanufacturing.us and check out all the cool stuff Steve has going on. He's got some amazing new platforms in the works that I think are going to be great for anyone in the country to tow your kayak safely. If you're looking to purchase a kayak, go to No Bad Days Kayak, nobaddays.com, and check out everything Forrest and his team have going on. He's a great person. They're great people, and they make sure you get everything you need almost anywhere in the country safely. So, all right. Tonight, we have Brandon Hua. I've enjoyed watching all of his videos on YouTube. He has a great series on gearing up his kayaks, both his previous ride and his new ride. I've watched him fish way more than I feel comfortably admitting, but I've watched him quite a bit. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Brandon right now. Hello, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing great, Roy. I can't complain. It's sunny here in Oregon. It's not raining for once, so it's great. How about yourself?
I think we traded. It's supposed to be storming tonight, so I'm hoping the power holds out as long as the show. So, yeah, I was just saying I've watched you probably more fish more than I care to admit. Sitting here like we're best friends. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
If you wouldn't mind, for those people that don't know you, would you give them a little brief history of yourself?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Oregon, the Pacific Northwest. This is kind of like the region that I've been pretty much fishing my entire life. Honestly, I didn't start bass fishing, but my dad and he's a big influence on me getting fishing from a young age. And we went to the Snake River to go catch some crappie one time. In the evenings, we just catch some smallmouth. So that kicked it off. And yeah, now I'm about 11 years down this rabbit hole of bass fishing in a dominantly cold water kind of region. So it's cool to stand out, and put a little bit of spotlight on the Pacific Northwest along the way.
Nice. Yes. Yeah, I've been watching in you said the cold water, the Snake River, like watching you do some amazing fishing, which we'll get into a little bit later. You've got some skills. We'll hit on those. So I was noticing that you started out your career pretty much in the collegiate tournament. Would you say that that's something that was a draw for the college you chose, or is that something you think other people should do? Is start there?
I mean, if you're looking to get an industry, I think this is something relatable that a lot of pros across the nation say all the time. It's a great way to one get in the industry and kind of get started on it. I mean, I didn't choose Oregon State University as my school for fishing.
Mhm.
Honestly, I didn't even know they had a bass fishing club. Once I got there, I was like, I've caught a few bass before. Let me join. And I learned a whole bunch along the way. My first tournament was at Clear Lake.
Mhm.
What a crazy place to have a first tournament. And ended up getting 10th place there and went to nationals at Lake Chattoog. And that was quite a bit ago. I don't want to age myself there, but yeah, it was an experience like no other. Back then, I mean, the college program wasn't what it is today, and it's way bigger than it was. So it's kind of cool to see the growth in that, and definitely is a good opportunity for anybody looking to get into it. I mean, now they're giving full ride scholarships for some of these colleges, and
Wow.
obviously you see the college bracket that gets people paid entries essentially into the opens these days and the EQs. So it's pretty cool to see. The boat side has always been my background, even though I'm kayak fishing now.
Right. Was the college fishing, was that boat or was that kayak?
It was all boat.
All
So
boat.
I didn't have a boat at the time. I was fortunate enough to be paired with someone named Eric Strickler. He taught me a lot. And we had his boat and went down. We actually did a double tournament that weekend. It was Clear Lake, which was a 2 day, and
Mhm.
we went to the California Delta and fished the FLW College Series at the time. So I got to fish two, I mean, well-known fisheries on the West Coast on the same weekend in my first two tournaments. California Delta, I think anybody on the West Coast could say that's a tricky fishery with the tides and everything, and it proved it that day for us.
Right. And as the boat co-angler, I can only imagine, and you can let me know your thoughts on it. If you're fresh out the gate and you're as a co-angler, you've got like a wealth of knowledge at an arm's reach from you. Did you
Mhm.
find that was a great learning point for you?
Oh, absolutely. I cannot preach this all the time. Anybody who asks me about co-angling, I'm a culmination of everybody I ever fished with.
Hmm.
Because everybody, they have their different strengths and weaknesses, right? So one of these guys might be really good throwing a jig, the other one might be a jerk bait, and I'm a visual learner. It's hard for me to like read up or even just watching YouTube videos. YouTube videos help a whole bunch, but I'm watching these guys and their specific techniques that makes that bait work. And obviously you're right there to ask them questions, about
Hmm.
why is this spot so special compared to over there, and all that. So it's a great way to learn a whole bunch, especially as a co-angler. You get to see a lot of bodies of water a lot quicker than obviously if you were to just jump into the kayak side of things. Obviously
Right.
it's a little slower to jump around, but yeah, I mean, it's super beneficial in my opinion. And um, these days I mostly like to make my own decisions, so that's the reason why the kayak, or even I had my own bass boat for 2 years. I had an older 21-foot nitro with a 225 mercury on the back. But with boats, as they say, bust out another thousand is what boats stand for, right? So
Right.
the kayak side has been really enjoyable for me, but I can't not give credit to being a co-angler and all the people that I fished with.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. Did you ever run into any situations where you had um, a non-sharer, if you will? Because I own a photo studio, and I sometimes get around people who are doing techniques that they want to gatekeep. Did you ever hit any of those people?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I think it's mostly when you get to the pro-am level, right? So
Hmm.
non-shared weight format. But I tell people join the local clubs. I mean, most of the times those people are just looking for people to fish with. And honestly, that's how I was able to fish on boats during the weekends when I didn't have one. Right. I met these people through the clubs, the local community. We had a great time, good experience on the water, and they'd invite me out to go fishing. So it just created more opportunities. But definitely, once you get to the pro am level, and especially when it's a no shared weight format, there's sometimes that the boater might be a little protective over their stuff, and it's
Hmm.
understandable.
Right.
But I will say that in the pro am level, like if anybody's able to do it, it really teaches you how to be a better angler because you're trying to figure out how to fish for sloppy seconds. Right. So you got to be able to do that. You're paying attention to what the boater is doing and not trying to obviously copy them. If they're going down with a jig and missing some of these pockets, your goal is to follow something up into those pockets that they didn't hit. So it's a huge learning experience that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a great stepping stone to really get in a launch for yourself.
Mhm.
So when you switched from boats to kayaks, what was your first kayak you ever got?
So I was fortunate. I Next Adventure, which is a company that I'm partnered with right now,
Hmm.
and I previously actually worked for, they gave me the opportunity to demo some of their kayaks. So um, back at the time, I still had my boat, and they kind of let me choose whatever I want. So I did my own research, and the first one I actually jumped into was a native Slayer Max 12.5.
Hmm.
It was a great one. Enjoyed it so much. Super balanced, and obviously the drive is effortless. And then I tried out a Pro Angler PA 12 360. And for me, with my style fishing, I enjoyed the 360 because I
Hmm.
like to, in the springtime, get up in the cover, not have to feel like I need to make a 15-point turn to go back out a creek or whatever it is. But honestly, both are super great platforms. They just fit my style of fishing more. And yeah, after that, a couple of years, I ran a pro angler, upgraded to PA 14 for 2 years, and now got a new rig in the garage right now.
Yes, we'll get to that in a minute. So I like I said before, watching your videos, your fishing videos are really nice, but I
Appreciate
really
it.
enjoyed watching every step, and you're kind of doing that now with the new rig as well. You're doing every step of the build on. It was the Mike Iaconelli edition
Hmm.
that was basically just pimped out,
Yeah.
and so let's talk about that rig just a little bit before we jump into the next one. So
Good.
with the Pro Angler, when you were building that out, what was your main focus of building it? Did you have a body of water in mind or a tournament series in mind you built for, or were you just like, I'm going to put the best of the best on this and run with it?
Functionality.
Hmm.
And, I tell people, like, it looks like I have a lot of stuff in my kayak, but honestly, it's just tools to get the job done. And it's pretty universal, in my opinion, right? The way I had my Pro Angler set up was if I was going, for example, a couple years ago, we were at the California Delta for West Coast Kayak Championship. I was made it where I can actually pull my, excuse me, my transducer out so that I can remove my Sniper Marine kayak pull out and
Hmm.
not need it for the tournament if I need it. Obviously, we're punching mats up shallow and throwing frogs and all that stuff, so I didn't need it at the time. But yeah, I mean, everything on there. I mean, I'm a big offshore angler. That's just what I did, and this was beyond front-facing sonar.
Hmm.
Um, I consider myself old school per se, and go side scan, 2D, down scan, back and forth, up and down the lake to find those spots. Set a waypoint, turn back on it, make a few casts. So electronics is a little bit in a big thing of mine. I realized a long time ago that there's fish out deep that don't get touched because everybody wants to go throw a chatterbait or a spinnerbait down the bank. Uh,
Hmm.
these days, everything's a little bit different, right? Everybody's starting to move offshore, which I kind of gotta
Yeah.
deal with. But yeah, I mean, overall, the kayak is just fit my fishing personality and what I like to do, and everything. There was nothing that really I took off every single time. Everything stayed on there because I had its use.
Now, did you find switching from co-angler to kayak, because with co-angler you could communicate with someone, talk to them throughout the day. Um, did you? And this is gonna be. Did you replace the co-angler with the camera? Somebody to talk to?
Honestly, I guess so. I mean, in our tournaments before going to this year of kayak fishing Northwest and doing 3 states, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, we usually had about 40 anglers, and some of these body waters were smaller, so we always saw everyone all the time when it
Hmm.
was just Oregon based. But yeah, I mean, it actually helps me kind of break down my day a little bit better talking to the camera, which is kind of weird. I'd say at first it was kind of weird trying
Hmm.
to talk to a camera. You're talking to yourself, but I got pretty used to it pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, from co-angling to now, I mean, a lot of people have mentioned to me, like, how'd you go from boat to kayak? I'm like, I mean, I'm a co-angler at heart. Like, I got a few co-angler of the year
Hmm.
trophies up there. There's a big medal one from the Wild West days on the Columbia River. That was the first place one. That was my first big win. And I mean, as a co-angler, you get a bag and 5 to 7 rods. So going into a kayak was not hard for me at all. It was an easy
Right.
transition. And honestly, it's a lot easier to get stuff done with the minimal gear compared to 3,700 boxes in your boat.
Yes. And the big hatches trying to find what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if anyone who wants to go see all of Brandon's accomplishments, you can go to brandonhuafishing.com. And he's in his about section from the past 11 years. You've achieved quite a few things.
I've
You
dabbled a little bit of
a
everything.
little
So
bit,
it's been
a little
fun.
bit. Yeah, I'd say you dabbled a lot, but all right. So now you have taken the Hobie out of the stable and replaced it with a new kayak. Why don't you tell everyone what your new kayak is?
I could probably even show you guys right here. It's just right behind the laptop. You can
There
see
you
it.
go. PWR 129.
So I decided to go with a bona fide PWR 129 this year. I had an opportunity to run one last year, or I guess last winter, and I was really impressed with it. So I decided, you know what? I want to be able to branch out and try other things. So I got to try this out, and it's been good to me this year. I mean, a lot of my buddies are like, I think that kayak's good luck for you because you've been kind of smashing it this season with the pre-spawn. I'm like, yeah, it's comfortable. It's super fun. I'm actually at a tournament over the weekend and they were spawning.
Mhm.
And in my pro angler, I've never tried standing on the seat. And there's this bed, it was overcast and about 3.5, 4 feet of water. And I said, you know what? Big money is on the line. Let's try this for the first time. I was actually standing on my seat bed fishing, and I
Wow.
was like, this is new. So
Yeah.
I'm discovering new things every single time on the water. This thing.
So I know that I hate when people ask if a kayak is stable because stability is an individual answer. But to
Mhm.
you, is the PWR equal to or more so stable than the pro angler? And I know you say you stood on the seat, but I don't think you didn't try that in the other one either. But I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I mean they're both stable. Realistically, these days, a lot of these kayaks that come out, no matter what brand,
Hmm.
they're all once you get in that certain mid to high end price point, they're all stable. That's my honest truth. I don't have any affiliation with any kayak brand. I plan to keep it that
Yeah,
way. And they're all good. I try them all. It doesn't matter what brand. So
yeah.
they're all pretty good.
Not
And
trying to burn bridges. I just wanted to know because my story is I was looking to upgrade and I was saving to get a the Iconelli edition, and I took it out and I thought I was going to buy my way into stability, but it wasn't stable for me because of my body type and the way I use the kayak. So it wasn't good for me, and they didn't like to hear me say that. But it was for me. It's not right. It's right for a bunch of people, but just for me, it's not right.
yeah, I mean,
So,
you got to try them out. And,
hmm
there's plenty of places, obviously, in the Pacific Northwest. We have Next Adventure. They literally have a
hmm
warehouse on the water in Scappoose Bay with all the fishing kayaks that you can literally go try out. And I know there's other companies, across
yeah,
the nation. I think Dugout does the same thing and all that. My biggest recommendation, buddy, it's like buying a car. You want to take it for a test drive before you buy it. I would never rush anyone to buying a kayak just because of, oh, blah, blah, blah said it's good or whatever.
right.
Go try it out because the last thing you want to do is make a purchase, especially a big purchase, and have regrets after. So
So buying 4 kayaks in 1 year like this guy's not a good idea.
maybe I
Yeah.
use them. I can't. I will leak that I might have another second kayak along the way, and this you're the first to know about it.
Ooh, you heard it here first, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, so yeah, the other thing that I liked about the 129 was the weight limit. I mean, if you look at it, and I'll say in your video, you kind of did what Hans did in his release of the XTR. You look like you're like that tall next to this huge boat, but it's got a 500-pound weight limit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's got enough room for you, your gear, extra gear, lunch for tomorrow, a little bit of
Yeah.
everything. So, have you found yourself pushing the limits of the weight, or do you still have room to throw more gear on?
I don't think I'm pushing the weight limit. At least I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't think so. Like honestly, like I run a 16 by 16 Yak Attack Black Pack Pro,
Hmm.
and I actually have a box from my Dakota Lithium 25 amp hour. That's just an empty box in the back because I only carry like 3 or 4 boxes of tackle. Two are like swim bait heads and normal jig heads, and another one is like a miscellaneous terminal box. And I literally carry one 3700, just a single, that I
Mhm.
carry my Z-Man jackhammers and my 6-inch swim baits and stuff like that. That is it. I'm a plastics person, so I don't carry a whole bunch of extra load from tackle.
Right.
I may carry 10 or 11 rods here and there, but that's about it. Everything is, no, I mean, everything's solid. I will say that the PWR has a really good secondary balance. So
Mhm.
you kind of hit that point and you're like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. So that part I've been really enjoying on this. I've been actually standing up on this thing, covering water and using the foot steering to get me around without having to get down. I set a certain speed with my Torpedo.
Mhm.
I just kind of kick it with my shins, and I'm just going up and down the bank. So as if I was using a remote with a bow mount.
Very nice. Yeah, it was not necessarily where you pushing the weight limit. I mean, did your loadout change where you have such a big, do you pack the same that way?
No, same,
Same?
honestly. Like I said, like it may seem like a lot of stuff, but honestly, I don't have like a bunch of like accessories per se on my kayak.
Right.
It's 2 graphs, black pack, motor. I did add a power pole this year, but I don't have like a bunch of things everywhere. So I keep things pretty simple in my opinion. I use a short stack, so I that's my junk drawer essentially. I just got to reach behind and grab spool line or some scent. I keep things pretty
Yeah.
simple. If it's too much, I'm most likely going to probably break it because it may not be in every single video, but I do get clumsy here and there. So
Oh, I'm the poster child of clumsy. So yeah, I have a power pole as well. It's one of my favorite accessories on my kayak when I'm shallow and I'm just push the button and just locked right in.
yeah,
So
this is my first year running one, and I've been enjoying it so far.
yeah, if I had spot lock, it probably wouldn't be needed if I were running a bow mount, but I don't see that. I just love the power pole.
Yeah.
So I see you do a lot of forward facing. I don't think you do a lot of forward facing sonar, but I see you have the AT2 and
Mhm.
the sniper marine. I absolutely love the sniper marine setup. That thing is like precision. So is there um, a location or a time for the forward facing sonar just to be put away? I mean, do you still enjoy just old school, like you said, or do you heavily rely on that for tournaments?
That's what I did this last weekend. I didn't use it at all. I kept it in its holster mount, and honestly, I used my front graph just for maps. So I had a bunch of beds marked out, and I just used my front graph just for that. And I still like to do that. I mean, I think when it comes to tournaments, depending on time of year, I mean, I don't rely on it at all. If it's the right time of year and that's going to be what
Hmm.
I need to do to get the job done at these tournaments, then definitely I will use it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, obviously there's a big controversial discussion on front
Hmm.
facing sonar, but for me, I use it just to target my gas better because back in the day, all you had was a waypoint and you're just like, yep, it's somewhere that direction. You make 15 casts just to finally hit that brush pile. Now, for me, it's like, yep, all right. So,
Yeah, I try to stay out of the controversies of the forward facing sonar. I just want to know when people um, just go back to like I don't want to say fun fishing because if you're in a tournament, you're in it to win it, and whatever you can use, you could use. But at a
mhm.
certain point, I had forward facing sonar myself, and I don't fish it enough to call myself proficient. So I ended up getting rid of it just because I was spending more time trying to learn it than having fun fishing.
Yeah.
So I had to let it go.
It can burn you. It can burn you if you don't know when to use it, when not to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
So,
said there you had to be a sonar tech. I mean, yeah, to figure it out. Like, what is that?
honestly, me personally, I wish it was even around, and I use it a lot these days. But
Mhm.
back in the day when it wasn't around, I was like one of the very few fishing offshore in my local bodies of water. So
Yeah, and
that's my
I saw
take.
your last video. Is that the one you're referring to where you caught like the largest bag with smallmouth? Is that the
Yeah,
yeah,
my longest bag I think was 101.5 inches of smallmouth on the
yeah.
Columbia River. Yeah, but I mean, it's an area that I fished for probably 8 or so years. And I haven't been there in the last about 3 or 4 years. I think the last time I was there, it was about 3 years ago. I was fishing, actually Jameson Redding, he's the host of Road Trip Angler. Him and
Mhm.
Jeff Little came out here to do, an episode, and I took them out in this section of the river. But that was the last time I was here, so I was I didn't have my waypoints on this graph, so I was like, all right, there's a clean spot somewhere around here, and I was like, let me just find that clean spot. There it is, and that's all I needed it for.
Yeah, I watched that video as well. You're putting on a clinic.
Fun time.
Yeah, it's like a perfect time as well. Whenever there's a camera around, usually that's when things don't happen. But it did that time, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. The wind was playing a little iffy that weekend, but we were able to kind of tuck away in some areas, and we had all 3 phases of spawn, so it was kind of like pick and choose what you want to do.
Heck yeah. So I saw on one of your videos you got a nice care package from Yak Attack. I've got some things here from them as well. Let's just pick something. What's a new thing from Yak Attack that you just love? It's going to be a spot on your kayak.
Something new.
Well, it doesn't have to be new. Just something that's going to go on there.
Oh, there's so many. Why are you doing this to me? I will probably say, I think, in my opinion, every kayaker needs it is a Black Pack Pro.
Mm-hmm.
You can add all these attachments to it, and then obviously all the rod holders. You can now, with that short stack that came out, you have an extra storage. I think that's, in my opinion, probably my favorite. And I hate to say that because there's so many good products, but I mean, even from the content side, Panfish Pro, right? I gotta be able to record my videos, and this is what helps me get the job done. So I mean, there's a whole bunch. I mean, the Rotogrip phone holder, that's a new one. I helped Yak Attack and I do some content on that. Fortunate enough to catch a 20-incher that day, which made it perfect. But that thing, everybody's always talking about, oh, I'm afraid to lose my phone. I don't know where to put it. And they fixed that problem for a lot of us kayak anglers. So they're always innovating.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites so far. It's the first aid kit. Yeah, I love this thing. You're always looking for a Band-Aid at some point, and it's right there, big as could be. So
my thumbs are still recovering from the weekend.
Yeah,
these fish were not happy getting taken off their beds. But
I'm not as proficient as you, so mine are more like line cuts versus thumb. Yeah.
For a while, I think it was like the last 5 weeks I've been going out, and before last 4 or 5 weekends, and the pre-spawn's been good here. Multiple 20-pound bags, 25.5-pound bags. So my thumbs have not recovered. When I thought it would recover, here comes the next weekend. Band-Aids, I have not stayed on my thumbs whatsoever.
So with the new Bonafide, it's got a different hull design. I know you run a Torpedo. Are you finding that you're getting faster speeds out of the new hull?
Honestly, it's about the same as my Pro Angler right now. I got some things to tweak. I'll be honest, I should be spending more time tweaking it before fishing, but I'll make an adjustment, go on the water and fish all day, and then the next trip I'll do it. So there's some stuff that I need to tweak. This kayak, from what I've been told, it should be about 6.5 miles an hour, and I'm getting anywhere from 6.2 to 6.3 right now. So I got some additional things to tweak, but it's been great so far, honestly. And honestly, that's more than enough.
Right.
For being, a almost 13-foot kayak compared to a PA-14, I'm getting the same speed as those guys. So
nice.
Not bad.
And which Torpedo are you running?
The new Travel Ultralight. So they upgraded a few things. The throttle is the biggest one. A lot of people love the fact that it's a backlit display. And then the steering triangle is metal now. I actually upgraded my lift arm that's on it. Trey from Innovative Sportsman, he sent me one of their steel ones. And for anybody's watching who has a rear motor from whether it's Torpedo or Newport, everybody knows as soon as you tilt that motor up and you try running shallow and turn, you bend that little lift arm. That steel one is the best bang for your buck to get that fix. So
wow. Okay. Nice.
Not many people know about it, but yeah, it's a great product. But yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying it. It's been a great motor. You can't complain, honestly.
Yeah, I noticed one of your videos setting up the PWR was replacing the foot steering with the Wizard steering. And I've seen a lot of people do that. Is that an upgrade you think they should ship with? And do you think that it should be something that if someone buys one, they should budget to do it because it's needed?
My honest opinion, I was never a fan of the stock foot steering. It tends to stick. And I'm sure that Bonafide's aware of that. But yeah, I mean, I think I think they should do it, but I think that would also come with the increase in price as well. So it's debatable, right? For
Right.
someone who maybe is running a bow mount and they can get away with the sock foot steering, sure. But yeah, I've been enjoying that Wizard kit a whole bunch. It's super smooth. I did have a little bit of a complication at one point, but Chad Uber kind of helped me figure out that issue and
Hmm.
gave some feedback to Hans on that. So it's been great.
Yeah, Chad's a problem solver. Um,
Mhm.
we were kind of discussing before. He's got a lot of knowledge in there. So,
Yeah, he has
um,
helped me kind of troubleshoot the speed on my PWR a few times. Some short conversations as we geek out over kayaking parts and builds and everything.
really quickly, I noticed with your PA, you had it sitting on a nice looking trailer. And that's one of the trailers that's made by Snake River Manufacturing. You touch on that a little bit, and I think you said you have another one coming in the works. You want to touch on
Mhm.
those two a little bit?
Yeah, so it's crazy. I was actually on the phone with Steve earlier today, but we bring it up all the time. Literally, it honestly started off with him custom making me some brackets for the bunks. That's on his trailers today,
Hmm.
and ended up selling a whole bunch of that because of that. And he has always had the idea of building a trailer, and ended up said, "I'm going to do it. There's a need in this market. There's a void that needs to be filled for especially us Pacific Northwest anglers. Obviously, it's grown a whole bunch more,
Right.
more nationwide now. But yeah, I mean that trailer was a culmination of his ideas and my ideas and my experience as an angler, a tournament angler, traveling a whole bunch. What makes life easier for us anglers, right? There's something that he touches on all the time is he's had a system where it's made it easy for me to launch 3 times during a championship and end up catching the biggest bass of my life, a largemouth at the time. So it's always innovating, and that trailer is awesome. And yeah, I actually have borrowing from a buddy right now. This is basically the first production trailer while mine's being built. And yeah, mine's I can't touch on it too much because there's a lot of new things added to that, but I think it's going to be stuff that from for a kayak angler who's looking to I don't want to give too much away. Let's say piece together the options over time. You're gonna have that ability too. So there's a lot of new accessories coming out and all this stuff, and it's gonna be great. We're trying to help people out, instead of doing a DIY trailer that may only last a season or so.
Hmm.
um, you can jump into something better that's going to be built for the road and the abuse that we do traveling.
Yeah, Steve is one of those individuals I like to talk to who is just always thinking. Like, I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him or a call with him where it hasn't been, hey, I've got these things I'm working on. I'm like, let's go next time. These things I'm working on. Like, man, when do you sleep? Sleeping's optional with
Yes.
Steve. So,
Well, I mean, for the longest time, even today, we just still call each other up. Hey, got an idea. And he's like, what do you think of this? And I even back then I was like, "Hey, I think this needs to be on a trailer." And not even 24 hours. He's like, "Okay, let me sleep on it." Next morning, boom. He's like, "I was up at 3 a.m. and I threw it in CAD, and this is what I came up with." But
yeah.
that's the cool thing about Steve with his background, being a true engineer and having the specialties in that field, is
Yes.
that I mean he gets it done right. He does all this testing with software for center of gravity and all this words that I honestly don't even understand. I'm like, yeah, Steve, I believe you. So
Yes. All right. So we're at the midway point, just a little past. And for those who know or don't know, Kayak Coffee will is um, giving away a package to my brain just stopped. I commented on something on Facebook and then everything reset. So here, the midway point is brought to you by Kayak Coffee. Anyone who enters any questions for Brandon on the form that was sent out, they are entered in the drawing for the Kayak Coffee giveaway. So we have 3 people that have entered questions. A couple of regulars. Steve Burge. Steve's first question is, how do you approach content creation as opposed to tournament fishing? Is there a different routine? So if you're going to go out and just fish for your YouTube versus fish for a check.
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, I think if anybody watches my videos, there's definitely a different flow. Obviously, when it comes to tournament fishing, things are a little bit quicker, right? I mean, I explain a whole bunch of things along the line, usually why I kind of do like recap videos at the end because it's obviously go, 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 right? As kayak
Mhm.
anglers, our biggest enemy is time. So I do things a little bit differently. And then obviously when I'm fun fishing, I can explain a little bit more how the fish are set up, what they're doing, and all these type of things. Go through a full breakdown of the lure, the jig head, the rod, reel setup, all that stuff, and what I'm doing. So it definitely, it's depends on the scenario for sure. But I still do it either way. I have a conversation with a lot of friends, and they're like, and I tell them like, if I wasn't doing videos, I probably have a lot more time to fish because sometimes I will, I
Mhm.
gotta get the shot and all these type of things. So it's just another thing that makes honestly it fun on the water.
Little extra steps.
Hmm.
Okay, as the second question is, have you ever come out to the East Coast for tournaments? If so, what do you find different between the two regions?
Ooh. So I'll be honest, my only time was Lake Chateau when I qualified for the college national championship. And I didn't know at the time. Again, I was like very new, a couple years in the bass fishing. I didn't even know what a spotted bass was. And now today my PV spotted bass is 721 and a
Mhm.
21 and a quarter or 21 and a half incher. But I didn't know about that. I didn't know about lakes with shad and blueback herring and all these things. So that was totally different for me. Once we go down in like California and stuff, then they have shad down there. But up here in the Pacific Northwest, we got all trout eaters. So
Mhm.
that's pretty much it. And bluegill and yellow perch and all that. So that was definitely a huge thing. That was different. The shad imitation part, the bait fish.
His third question, can you impart wisdom on a few techniques for catching bass? Is there one thing you would share? Is there
Oof. Kind of looking at a bunch of rods behind me. Drop shot, honestly. I love throwing a bait caster, but honestly, a drop shot is one of my favorite things. If anybody follows kind of my tournament history, a lot of times my best tournaments is with a spinning rod.
Mhm.
So a drop shot. Here, let me grab this rod. It's just a good old drop shot. So this is one of my favorite worms. I've caught, oh geez, 4 fish over 7 pounds in the last couple of years on this. This is a Z-Man SMH worms. A lot of people, especially West Coast, they talk about robo worms, margarita mutilator, the purple worm, all that stuff. This is my version of the purple worm that Z-Man makes called Purple Rain. But throwing it Texas rig style for a weedless application, fishing grass and all that. A lot of people we hear, talk about throwing like a mosquito hook and just kind of nose hooking it, but that this is a owner cover shot hook and it makes it weedless. So that's one of my favorite things to do. Just when the bite's tough, or even when the bite's not tough,
Mhm.
picking those bigger fish. Just like us, as fish get older and they get smarter, and they've seen the same chatterbait, spinnerbait, crankbait go by a bunch of times, and they're predators. You put something in front of their face long enough, they're gonna want to take a bite. You put a ribeye in front of my face long enough, I'm probably gonna take a bite. Can't resist
Mhm.
that. So it's the same thing that applies.
Very true. This is from Andrew. He's the owner of Sonar Shield. He
Okay.
says, you've managed to blend serious tournament fishing with a strong social media presence. How do you balance content creation with the competitive grind? And does one ever get in the way of the other?
I think, honestly, it just comes down to getting into a rhythm of how to manage it all. I'll be honest, at the beginning, I didn't have kind of like my whole system right. And, content creation, especially, what I do, it could be considered like it's a second job, right? And it could take a little bit of time. But once you get kind of like your rhythm of how the process goes during the day and the steps, it gets pretty simple. And it's fun, honestly. I enjoy, actually at this last tournament, I met a lot of new kayak anglers that just jumped into it, and they're like, I didn't even know about kayak fishing, and I watch your videos just fishing these local bodies of waters by us, and I'm here, and honestly, cool to see you. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I think there's a lot of people, especially in my region, that are very hush hush about
Hmm.
their stuff, and I'm kind of helping open the possibilities of people learning about these new bodies of water and baits are effective and all those things.
Heck yeah. He asks, how has that shaped your approach to building your personal brand and working with sponsors differently than most anglers?
I think for me, I'm a little unique where I provide a different set of values for these companies, and this is something I get questioned a lot, and it's a business, right? You got to provide value, and ultimately, those companies at the end of the day, they want to get some ROI from that. So for me, Pacific Northwest, we don't really have a saturated market of content creators or bass anglers, and we have a lot of them up here, a lot of bass anglers. So I'm able to provide some influence in this area. And, people, I guess Z-Man example,
Hmm.
helps getting increasing sales for Z-Man up here, finding products that obviously if they're elastic, you don't have to go through a whole pack of baits in a day. I use one worm all day long, and stuff like that. So finding out where that value is, and being able to stand out in a way. If you guys watch my videos, I'm not a crazy energetic and all this. I'm not one of those YouTubers. I keep things pretty chill, but um, I think my background of and knowledge from the Pacific Northwest has kind of helped me become who I am today.
Very nice. All right. His last question for someone who's just starting out, maybe with a kayak, a GoPro, and a dream, what's one thing they should focus on first? Fishing skill, filming, editing, or networking?
I would say the filming process, because just like all of us when we first started, there's always a learning curve, and nothing's better than learning with someone else. So if you can figure out how to build a following of people who are in the same kind of experience level as yourself, that's always cool, right?
Mhm.
I think that's one reason why I kind of grew a little bit of a following early on for kayak fishing, is because a lot of people wanted to get into it too, and follow me along for my journey. And what I've found out over the years when I started, I mean, I've only been kayak fishing. This is my fourth season. Fourth? Yeah, I think fourth season. So I would say the filming part, just so you can have that the POV and the comfortable talking to the camera and all that stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people love just seeing some fish catches, but being a part of that story for the day and narrating that story on the water as if they were there is so important. So
And I would agree with that. I will also add to it, as someone who takes photos for a living, you can have the most interesting subject in the world, but if you don't have a quality image or audio or video, it's not going to be appealing to anyone.
I've literally took clips out from videos because the wind blew and I didn't have a little what is it called? A little hair thing on my mics on my GoPro,
Oh,
and it was just blown out.
the wildcat or the
Dead cat.
dead cat,
Yeah.
wildcat. Yeah, yeah. I do this for a living. It's called a yeah.
Yeah. I think.
You got me. Um, all right. So this is from Justin Nichols. Uh, would you be more confident in a tournament setup for finesse fishing or power fishing? I know you said your favorite or one of your best ways to fish is finesse, but in a tournament, do you feel more confident with the finesse or power fishing?
I would go finesse every single time, because I feel like power fishing is so dependent on weather, right? Think about you're going down the bank trying to throw a moving bait. If the conditions are right, if it's slick, calm, bluebird skies, and no wind, it's not really ideal conditions. And with finesse, you can really kind of do both, in my opinion. Granted, if it was windy, overcast, you can probably go throw a big bait or a moving bait and probably catch a big one. But finesse, it just seems to it doesn't matter the conditions, you can get it to work. That's my opinion. I may only carry 3 spinning rods, but I guarantee you I will use them more than my bait casting stuff most of the time.
Yeah, I grew up using spinning, and I could skip and do all the cool stuff that they're doing now with the bait casters. But with a bait caster, I can't do that. I'm well versed with a spinning rod more so than bait casting.
Yeah.
But His second question: what are some preparations for tournaments you can share with anglers that are new to kayak tournaments?
Ooh, that's a good one. Some new stuff. Let's see. How deep do I want to go into this? Um, I mean, I think when it comes to kayak tournaments, I think the first thing is, like I said before, time is our biggest enemy. So set your alarms, right? From
Hmm.
launch, lines in, lines out, maybe even when standings go off, so you can kind of see where you're at. I know some people don't like to look at standings. It kind of makes them nervous, but I personally like to do. It allows me to make decisions. Oh, if I'm catching 16, 17 inches all day and that's not enough, I need to go find some 20s. I'm going to scratch everything I did and go look for a big bite. That's one of those things. Let's see. I mean, yeah, getting up early, making sure that the kayak's in the water on time. When it comes to like going to a body of water, Google Earth is a huge help, right? Kind of seeing the lake layout so you can prepare kind of like your thoughts on what baits you're going to use. Is it super grassy? Is it super rocky? Having a good mapping chart, if you can, whether it's an app on your phone or on your graph itself, Navionics, CMap, Lake Master for Humminbird, being to see those contours that will differentiate what you're doing compared to everybody else, right? Because everybody is so visual. Oh, there's a tree or there's a point right there, but they don't see what's underneath the water. That has been one of my biggest kind of I guess strengths is I do a lot of research with mapping and all that stuff. Google Earth Pro, seeing water level fluctuations through the year. That's a huge one,
Mm.
right? You can see a lot of things by downloading that on your PC or your laptop, seeing that water fluctuation and seeing things that you never thought you knew, right? Stumpfield actually goes out way farther than this. Oh, there's a roadbed that runs across the lake, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, other than that, watching YouTube videos, that's one reason why I do my videos is how people learn more about these bodies of water before they go them, so they don't skunk when they go. There's a whole bunch of that. I just gave the
Yeah,
juice.
yeah, you did. You just laid everything out there.
Mm-hmm.
We have to cut that out.
Yeah.
Is it the competition or the camaraderie that draws you to the tournament?
Oh, it's a camaraderie all the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, bass boat tournaments, and I was doing that for a while. It's you feel like you have those little cliques of groups, and there's not much. There's some people who obviously they're super friendly and stuff, but you see a lot of hush hush, giving bad talk and all that. Like this last weekend, like I was really looking around. This year I stepped up to help Kayak Fishing Northwest
Mhm.
with media for them, right? And I look around and I see the families. There's like a family from Washington, the Duggars, mom, dad, two sons. They go to fish tournaments together. The Jarvises, mom actually comes out and hangs out in the RV, makes sure that dad and son is,
Mhm.
doing everything right, getting them ready for the day. There's a father and son, the Hinbergers, like Tyler, the younger, the son. I think he's 16, 17 years old, and all that. So that for me is it. Every time we get together, it seems like the kayak community is so cool. Like when I fish in the boat world, like when people go and have a success at a tournament, everybody's like, and all that. But
Right.
that's cheering each other on, congratulating each other. And honestly, that's the type of community I want to be in. So, and that's why I've enjoyed kayak fishing so much.
Yeah, I've always said it's like I used to own a motorcycle. When you're on the road, everybody who had a bike would wave at you, and they're pull up next to you at the stoplight, and they want to talk to you. Didn't matter if you're on a Harley, a Honda, or didn't matter. So it's sort of
Mhm.
the same feeling when I got into the kayak world. You throw it in. I threw the kayak in the lake, and someone just came up like, "Oh, what is that? What are you doing? What are you?" I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay, all right, that's cool. I like that."
Yeah.
So,
When it comes to like, one thing that, that's a goal of mine as always is to help grow the sport, right?
mhm,
So this is a community and, I guess you can say a category of fishing that I see the potential of it just because of the people that's in it. So, yeah, it's cool to see that, you don't see it too much in the boat world, in my opinion.
right. Well, you touched on something about the marketing, and we touched a little bit on the filming. So we're going to lead into the second portion of this. When you go out filming, what type of camera gear do you use when you create your videos?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I have it laid out for my tournament over the weekend. So do my like intros or my stuff in the garage. In the last 2 years, I splurged. So I run a Sony A7 IV. It's a really, it's a, I guess you can say, I wouldn't say it's a high end. There's a lot higher end cameras, but it's a good hybrid camera. So photo, video. So I do both. So I've been enjoying doing this. I bought this on Black Friday because the price was down. Use a shotgun mic. This is just a Rode Video Mic Go
Mhm.
2. I think that's what I use. Obviously, I have like DJ, the Rode mics, the wireless mics. This is a little case that charges it.
Mhm.
So if I'm like don't want to carry the camera around, put it on a tripod, I do that. But GoPros, that's what I've used. I thought about kind of trying out some of the other stuff, but I just got two GoPro Hero 10, so my chest mount right here.
Mhm.
I do run a external power bank to cable. I just put this in the pocket of my Chinook PFD, so that's how I keep it powered all day. For some reason, with these 10s, I heard that 13s is actually better, but I can run without the battery inside with this power bank. That's why I haven't switched. Some power banks can be iffy,
Mhm.
but it prevents like the overheating issues that we get. And then for the back one, again, Panfish Pro from Yak Attack. So this is the shorty, not the boomstick, right there. Again, a Hero 10. I use a media mod on this one
Mhm.
because if for some reason, and there's a reason why I run two GoPros, because yes, there's overheating issues, batteries die. At least I know I have a backup way to get the shot on the water and I don't waste it. Granted, sometimes I forget to click start, but yeah. And then power bank for this one too. I just got a 6 foot USB to USB-C. That's how I record all my stuff. But this media mod makes it where if I'm fishing with a whole bunch of people and let's say
Mhm.
I forget to turn on my chest mount, it's directional to where I'm at, so it doesn't pick up the background noise.
Right.
That's the reason why I use a media mod.
Do
But
you do you loop or do you do constant recording?
I yeah, they're looping.
Looping.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's I had mine looping. I had the 8 and they would overheat.
Yeah.
So it's this is when they would overheat. It would go beep 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 beep, boom, set the hook. I'm like, what? It's dead. And I would catch
Yeah.
a fish. And of course, people you tell them like I caught a fish as soon as it died. They're like, yeah, sure you did.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've had it happen before, especially going down in like California Delta or Clear Lake, where it's hotter in California than it
mhm.
typically is up here. I've had that overheating issue, and having to go two GoPros have saved me big time. Yeah, I think I had to lower my frame rate on them just to make them not overheat. I still record everything in 4K,
Mhm.
and if I don't need a 4K video, I can just dial down the software I use for 1080.
Yeah, shoot 4K. That way, when you do your documentary later on in life, you've got some good footage.
Mhm. I got like a 16 terabyte hard drive that's starting to get full, and I don't know how many 5 terabyte hard drives I have that are full of stuff. I really need to look through it, but it's hard to delete cool content that kind of tells my story growing up with fishing. So
Now, that's something that a lot of people don't touch on, but since you brought it up with your storage, I know where we are. We use a RAID system, so we have multiple drives put together in case one drive dies. We don't lose content. Are you running something like that, or you just have them on normal hard drives?
now I've honestly been needing to figure out a better solution to it. Um, I just use just typical SSD hard drives.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'll carry like a 5 terabyte one on the road just in case I need it, so I don't overcloud my laptop. I run a MacBook,
Hmm.
so it allows me to edit quick and all that. But it definitely with 1 terabyte storage in this, a couple of days of fishing will fill it up quick.
Yeah,
So
we have cloud access, so if we do a wedding in another state, we can upload from the hotel to the hard drive in the studio. So that way, if something happens on the ride, we're still covered. We don't lose the wedding.
I might have to
So,
pick your brain a little bit about this. It's something that I've been needing to do for a while.
mhm.
Um, yeah, learning new stuff every time.
So a lot of people think that when you shoot a video, it's just I've taken the video, it's good to go. That's not the case in most cases. Do you edit, and what editing software do you recommend someone starting out?
I edit everything myself. When you're running two GoPros like I am, the biggest thing is being able to get the clips to line up from both, right?
Hmm.
Even no matter you try to click both buttons at the same time, it never lines up. So I use Premiere Pro, the whole Adobe suite, and that's what I use. A lot of people use like Final Cut and all that, but I use Photoshop. I use Lightroom for the photos side of things. Photoshop build my thumbnails and all that. Uh,
Hmm.
but in Premiere Pro, you have a synchronize feature that you can synchronize the audio on both of them so that the clips line up frame by frame. So that I honestly didn't know about that. One of my buddies, Brett Cummins, I think he's in Georgia at ICAST. He's like, "You didn't know about this?" I was like, "No," and I was like, "Dude, I've been editing for like 10 hours, and it cut my time significantly." And
Yes.
yeah, that's a good one. The synchronized option just saves a whole bunch of time. Instead, you're trying to look at the audio peak levels and trying to line them up. Yeah. Mm-mm.
You don't have a clapper?
Yeah, I actually tried doing that for a while,
Yeah.
but it just you could tell that it wasn't lined up. When I talked, like the audio was just slightly off, and I'm kind of nitpicky about that stuff. So I'm like, no, can't do this.
Yes. You get that break in there.
Yeah, it does take some time. I remember last year I was hanging out with Greg Blanchard, and
Hmm.
I asked him because I was curious as well. My how long does it take you to edit a video? And he says anywhere from 6 to 8 hours for a fishing day. Full tournament stuff, it could take up to 12 hours, even longer.
Well, if I may critique his editing style, I call him the king of the cuts,
Hmm.
because if you count him, he doesn't have any more than 3 seconds generally between scenes.
Hmm.
And it's like bip, 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 bip. And they're just cut down little pieces, but they keep your attention to it. And I kind of like that with the new mindset of the scroller, you know, it keeps it going.
Yeah,
Even when there's not quality content, let's say, filler, it still keeps it relevant because it's jumping. So,
that's something that I've been implementing a lot the last 2 years as well. Because I mean, I want to be able to show, oh, what was my rod doing when I was doing this technique and all this stuff, and then I have a 45-minute video. I'm like, yeah, that's a little long. It's considering that, I was still kind of new to YouTube and all that. So being
mhm,
able to cut down and just get important parts. Now I just make a cast. This is where the cast went. And then last couple seconds of what I was doing in the bite and fish and just cut out a bunch of that stuff.
yeah,
Realistically, a lot of people just want to see fish being caught and shown to the camera, honestly.
right.
And then there's, the in between sections where there's some informational stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way yours are edited. I mean, you have quality content. I mean, I've watched almost every one of your videos from start to finish, and a couple of them several times, just because they're well laid out. And I don't think everyone needs to be like the Greg's cuts, but for him and his style and what he does, it's perfect.
Oh, yeah, he has it down, and
He
he's
does.
he's a I consider him an OG of it.
Hmm.
It's been in this for a while.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to probably touch on this last one, and it's brands. I know that you've represented several brands, and we kind of touched on it earlier when you said you with one of the questions. But um, if someone out there wants to represent a brand, what do you think they need to do, and how should they represent the brand?
Just real quick, checked out Jumbo says Brett Cummins. That synchronized helped me, man. Okay, sorry. Repeat the question again.
I don't remember. I told you I had ADHD. You didn't know.
I
Um,
can multitask.
so brands. So if someone wants to represent a brand, what would you recommend for them? How would you recommend them to represent the brand? Because I know there's a lot of people that are pro staff. They just want free stuff. But when they get the free stuff, what do you recommend from your standpoint? Because I know you're going through marketing. You're going to get your marketing degree, and you're going to be taking over the world in a couple of years. So if someone were to come to you for advice on, I want to represent Brandon Hua, what do I need to do to basically represent you?
First thing I will always say is, are you a customer first? Do you have experience with that product? because in this industry, there's a lot of people just chasing the best deal and all this and that, but they have no experience on the product. How are you supposed to recommend the action of a bait, or the specific rods for this technique if you've never used it? That's one of the things. Is like a lot of the companies that I've partnered with, I've always been a customer first. Before I got on Team Torpedo, I purchased a brand new Torpedo Travel Ultralight 1103, or Torpedo Ultralight 1103 with my own money. And
Mhm.
then I met Jeff and obviously got on the team. But that's the biggest thing, right? You have experience, you believe in the product. That's a big thing, and that speaks value. And then bringing that value to however way you can. Again, it's a business, right? These companies are expecting a return on investment for sending you a product or even giving you a discount. And look, for me in the Pacific Northwest, I don't have the luxury of like a lot of these other people fishing Bassmaster Opens, Bassmaster Kayak Series, and all this stuff to meet. Like I had to build my network from scratch and starting at the bottom. And sometimes that's what you got to do. You think of it as a career, right? You don't go, oh, I'm going straight to the manager role. You're going to have to start at the bottom, retail staff, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And that's something. It's a road that people are kind of in a rush to kind of jump to the end, but that's sometimes what it takes. But those companies, and I can speak on behalf of some of the partners that I partnered with, is they appreciate that I stuck it out since the beginning, being on the low level and working my way up the chain to where I am today.
Mhm.
Because they know I'm a believer of the products. That's what I use. And I'm not, it just because of a better deal comes up doesn't mean I'm going to jump ship. And that's a lot of that in the industry. A lot of people jump ship because that's a better deal or whatever it is. So um, that brings also credibility, right? So
Mhm.
if you're constantly using this, that, and everything in between, how's your audience going to believe your brand and what you believe in, right? It's just going to the highest bidder at that point. So that's all stuff to consider when it comes to kind of building those partnerships and all that. Like me, like I said, I don't have a super saturated market when I started with like bass fishing content creators up here. So I brought a value to the Pacific Northwest region, a demographic that, this some of these companies couldn't really touch. And I worked with several retailers over the years trying to bring in more products so that people can use them. I do seminars several times a year talking over these products. Right. It's more than getting a free product and going fishing with it. There's work that has to be done, but if you're willing to do the work, it can really help. Like I'm fortunate enough today where honestly, like 5, 6 years ago, it was tough to go out and fish every other weekend, fish all these tournaments. But I put in a lot of work, and it has helped me kind of fish a little mind free from a financial standpoint. Um, and yeah, it's something that anybody can do. Honestly, you just gotta put in the work.
There you go. Great answer. Yeah. I know coming in from the magazine standpoint for myself, it was I had to basically put out the good product before people would start to recognize me. And now, a year and a half into it, people that wouldn't take my messages in the first year now will take my messages. So,
Happened
but
to me as well.
yep.
Happened to me as well.
But also, I will say this to piggyback on what you said. Even if you are a user, because I mean, some of the people that wouldn't take my messages were the ones that I believed in wholeheartedly. I used their product. So I had an option at that point was okay, they won't respond to me. Do I just say I'm not using their product and be the salty dude, or do I just continue using it like I normally do because I love the product? And that's kind of like you said, if you just stay the course, it
You'll
all
be
works out in the end.
exactly. It's one of those things where like long-term customer value, right? Like that's an important thing when it comes to business. If you're a long-term customer, you show them that you believe in the brand and stuff, and then it can open up doors.
Yep.
And I think another thing to touch on is networking. Networking is a big thing. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, it's about knowing somebody, and
Hmm.
obviously not burning bridges, right? Just if one thing that I tell people all the time who don't know much about the industry is that the industry is big, but not that big. Everybody knows each other. So
Hmm.
don't, because of a deal that went sour or someone rejected you, don't badmouth them because everybody knows each other. Some
Yes, they
people,
do.
they blow a fuse and they do that and it burns them. So that's another thing to consider.
Yes, very much so.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we've come up to the 1 hour mark. Is there anybody you want to shout out before we jump off?
I mean, same sponsor as you, Steve at Snake River Manufacturing. That guy is, in my opinion, which is crazy how much he's done these days. He's still in the beginning stages,
Mhm.
and I'm excited to get my trailer soon. And I think a lot of people who's gone his trailers would believe the same thing, that it has made life easier as a kayak angler. The troubles of hunting down a basic frame and all that, and trying to
Yes.
build it out and not being ideal. I don't know about everybody else, but when it comes to driving, I don't like to slow down and I don't like to miss potholes sometimes. I want to get to where I got to go.
Yeah.
So he has fixed a void in the industry in this region, and sounds like nationwide that's been super important. But yeah, I mean, I got a whole bunch of partners and stuff. I'm not gonna list them all. You guys probably see some of
Yeah.
them in the back and all that. You follow all my channels, you'll know who they are. I don't want to make it a commercial on
Yeah.
here. But without them and believing in me and being helping me shine some light in the Pacific Northwest, I wouldn't be who I am today. And that's always been my goal, just to show people that the Pacific Northwest got some great anglers, and there's some phenomenal fishing up here as well.
Right. And they could follow you at Brandon Hua Fishing
Brandon
on.
Hua dot fishing. So Brandon HUA dot fishing. That's gonna be Instagram, YouTube. I got a Facebook page as well. And then sounds like a car alarm's going off right now,
Yeah.
but you can follow me there. I get questions all the time. I'm happy to answer questions. Anybody has any, feel free to contact me. I love to talk fishing. I can talk about it all day long, and that's why this show's going a little bit longer in an hour.
Yeah.
So feel free to hit me up with any questions. That's my goal at the end of the day, is to help teach people. So
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to throw you in the background here, and then say goodbye, and I'll come back in, and we'll have a final chat and
good.
sign
Appreciate
off.
everybody watching, and if you're watching this in the future, appreciate you sticking through.
Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you being on, and I'll be with you in just a moment. All right, everyone. That was another great episode. I appreciate Brandon hopping in. It was a lot of great information, in my opinion. Went really well. So if you guys ever get a chance to shoot him a line, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to share some knowledge or even chat with you. So again, this episode and every episode for the rest of the year brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing and No Bad Days Kayak. Go give them a quick look at their respective websites. They have great stuff going on. Snake River Manufacturing's kayak trailers are going to be extremely epic. And Force at No Bad Days Kayak has some great deals and shipping throughout the country. So go check them out. Just give them a nod. Tell them I said hello. As well as this, and episode is brought to you by Vibe Kayaks. They have some great kayaks that are available, as well as some new ones that are in the works. Possibly, maybe, we'll see. So go give them a check, a shout, and tell them I said hello there too. So really quickly here, if you guys are in the market for some great coffee, you can go to kayakcoffee.com and use code CAFE20 and get 20% off your order. As well as if you go to Nico's Art Therapy on Facebook, this cup is available. All of the proceeds from this cup go directly to Nico and his art therapy. So go give them a shout and support Nico with his therapy. So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining in, and I appreciate everybody who submitted questions, and we'll see you next week. Next week, we have Brandon Elrod with Kayak Cushion on.